Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session on how we unlock cloud-scale observability and optimization with Azure. The industry landscape around us is rapidly evolving, not just with generative AI, but also with agentic AI. Recent surveys show that IT operations are leading in the adoption of AI, with measurable benefits that they're already accruing. One example is a bank that cut their modernization effort for the legacy systems by more than half by using agents. This shift towards AI means that organizations need to rethink how we approach observability and optimization, ensuring that you're ready for both the opportunities and the new requirements that this new world of AI and agentic AI brings to the table. The way we see it, the opportunities in this space are primarily twofold. First, we know that operations today is incredibly complicated. It is human intensive, and there's a lot of toil involved in keeping your environments up and running. The opportunity here is to transform the way operators get their work done with AI agents. Use it as a leverage to become more efficient and drive it as a competitive advantage for your business. Second is to ensure that the agents in your organization have the right level of observability in terms of monitoring, performance, security, governance, and cost optimization. So these are the 4 topics that we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about how we're going to troubleshoot issues faster with agentic AI. We're going to show you how to observe agents in production. We're going to enable full stack observability troubleshooting with open standards, primarily OpenTelemetry, and how you optimize your cloud resources with agents. So let me talk first about Azure Monitor. Azure Monitor is a comprehensive AI-powered observability solution. It delivers proactive, predictive insights for you to observe your entire estate across cloud and edge. It provides visibility across the stack, across infrastructure, apps, services, and AI. This platform is open and extensible, supports innovation, and is enterprise-ready for mission-critical scenarios. Our approach to observability centers on simplicity powered by AI, where you as customers can get started with out-of-the-box monitoring, effective alerts, and customizable reports. The data platform on Azure Monitor is built to handle massive scale, supporting your workloads running anywhere, whether it is in Azure, on-premises, on the edge, multi-cloud with Azure Arc integration. Azure Monitor has a wide breadth and depth of capabilities. You have application insights where you can detect and diagnose issues across applications, workbooks and dashboards integrated with Grafana for rich visualizations, and you can correlate issues at the infrastructure level with insights for VMs, containers, storage, networking, and more. And you can drill deeper with log analytics and metrics explorer. And you can use all of this to operationalize at scale with smart alerts, agentic AI, and AI-powered troubleshooting. We're going to touch on some of these capabilities in today's session and see how you can simplify operations and solve your business challenges. So if you look at the Azure Monitor landscape today, it already uses a range of AI and ML capabilities to help you monitor, diagnose, and optimize your Azure resources. These capabilities are things like anomaly detection, log analytics, application insights, smart groups, and more. By leveraging the AI and ML capabilities, Azure Monitor can help you proactively identify and resolve issues in your applications, services, to make sure you meet your business needs. Some examples of where AI and ML and Azure Monitor is used today. It's used for dynamically setting thresholds for alerts and detecting anomalies in application monitoring. Another example, integration with Azure Copilot for diagnosing and troubleshooting VM, AKS, and Azure applications. And then we also use AI and ML for auto-scaling of VMSS. And now, as we go forward, we are bringing in and incorporating more and more of these agentic capabilities into observability to simplify and really help you operate your environments more efficiently. So at this Ignite, we have lots of exciting announcements to make and capabilities that we're releasing. We're introducing a new observability agent experience, previously known as the Azure Monitor Issue and Investigate. This is available in preview with Copilot and Azure Monitor. The updated preview of this capability allows you to investigate any alert in Azure Monitor and improve your mean time to recovery and mitigate, while reducing the amount of toil that you're using today for troubleshooting. This end-to-end troubleshooting and diagnostics experience is AI-powered, it's collaborative, it's interactive, it's comprehensive, and auditable. This agent helps detect all the anomalies in your environment, like detecting abnormal CPU, memory patterns, and then correlates the data from all of the different signals across infrastructure, like VMs, AKS, applications, isolates automatically where the problems and the root cause for the issue might be, presents all of these as actionable findings to you, and then also goes ahead and preserves these results for auditing and tracking. And all of this really actually helps reduce and simplifies the troubleshooting. Like things that took previously probably days or weeks for you, you can now with this agent accomplish and figure it out in a matter of minutes. And so you can learn, as you can see on the slide, there's more about this agent. Please give it a try and give us feedback. And now I will hand to Rahul to give you a demo of this agentic AI with troubleshooting.
Thank you, Farzana. So let's start our agentic investigation journey from the new Operations Center in Azure Portal. So Operations Center is what brings together all of your operational capabilities into one single pane, and across your subscription gives you a nice summary across your observability issues, security posture, resiliency, configuration, as well as optimization. Right now, we'll start from the observability angle, and what I want you to look at is these top actions right here. So from top actions, we basically distill or highlight the most important critical issues in your subscription, so you can just directly troubleshoot or investigate from here. Now, in this case, I noticed that there is a severe performance degradation happening in my FabricAM application, and I want to investigate what's going on. All it needs is I just click on Investigate Alert, and it opens up the agentic investigation capabilities. I have already ran that because it takes a minute or so to get you all the findings. So once you come to the investigation UX, what you see are basically a journey, a findings journey that the agent takes. It looks at all of your application telemetry, underlying infrastructure telemetry, and tries to correlate what might be the anomalies happening across the board. So in this case, it is noticing, as we start, that this particular application, it got some response time degradation, some dependency degradation, etc. And there are multiple findings available here. So it notices some alerts fired. That's what we investigated right now. And the findings, it tells me that what should I be doing next? If there is a degradation, it could be due to a database performance issue. It could be some backend utilization problem. It could be that the application itself is causing a memory leak or something like that. Now, since Azure Monitor is already capturing all of our infrastructure telemetry, and it knows this application is running on a VM, it's also giving me root cause analysis from the underlying VM infrastructure. Now, I can immediately see here there is actually a metric anomaly happening on the VM side, and the CPU on my VM is spiking every time there is a performance degradation, and that's most probably the root cause here. Now, if I go to the findings again, it will tell me, now you know the issue is on the VM. The next step is go deeper into the VM, figure out what processes are consuming this much memory or CPU, and what exactly is going on. That is where our new VM monitoring experience in Azure Monitor really shines, where not just at a host level or platform level, you can actually go within the guest operating system, get your process level telemetry, and figure out what exactly was the problematic process that was consuming so much CPU in this case. It's super easy to get started, by the way. I'll just go back to the operations center and actually land on the monitor page. And just like we saw the performance-related top action, I can also see recommendations on monitoring coverage. So in your environment, if you have Kubernetes clusters or VMs that are not using best practices or recommended monitoring, those gaps can be automatically surfaced here. And just like before, you click on the simple button here, Enable Monitoring. It figures out whatever VMs are non-monitored in this subscription. You select that, enable VM Insights, provide your Log Analytics workspace or Azure Monitor workspace, and that's it. Your basic VM monitoring is up and started. So I already have a parallel system where I already did that onboarding, just to show you how that looks like. And once I go to that VM, I can see this new Insights experience, VM Insights or Azure Monitor for VM, where we have these OpenTelemetry-based new visualizations available in preview. So these are basically OpenTelemetry standards-based performance counters that you can collect from your infrastructure, very consistent between Windows and Linux OS. You can go as deep as you want into process level and kind of collect all the community standards-based data collection. So out of the box, you can see your CPU, memory, network, disk, all the basic metrics that are available. You want to go deeper into process level, it's as simple as going into your data collection rule. And in addition to the basic metrics that are collected by default, you just select process, and all your process level telemetry is also collected. Now, once that data is collected, how do you really use it? Now, these are OpenTelemetry perf counters in our Azure Monitor workspace. Now, on top of this, you can use Prompt QL as the query language. So if you're using Grafana as your visualization tool of choice, you can create your own Grafana dashboards, visualize your process level details in more depth. Or you want to operationalize that, as Farzana was saying, our rich alerting capabilities. You can now create Prompt QL-based alerts on top of these metrics. So where there are any anomalies, you don't want to depend on, say, the application degradation. You want to be more proactively detecting process-level issues, so you can create those alerts as well. Just to show you and finish that investigation experience, I already have a custom Grafana dashboard created. And in this case, this is another announcement we are making this week, Azure Monitor dashboards with Grafana. That's an embedded native Grafana experience right within Azure Monitor. No additional licensing charges here. It comes for free as part of the Azure Monitor experience. And again, limited to just Azure Monitor data sources. So if you really want that multi-cloud, multi-data source experience, you can always go to the managed Grafana version. That's a full-blown service within Azure. But right here, thank you. So right here in this custom Grafana dashboard, I use the same OTel perf counters we were collecting and just put some very simple Prompt QL queries here. And let me zoom it a bit here. And I can see at the time when we were getting that CPU spike, there was this backup data warehouse process as a noisy neighbor running on the system that was causing almost like consuming 98% CPU. And that is basically the reason why our FabricM app degraded. So that's our investigation. The agent really made it super smooth to go from application to VM and then figure out what's going on. With that, I'll hand it over to Farzana to continue.
Thank you, Rahul. And so you could see now, the power of leveraging AI to really simplify troubleshooting and achieve things which you can do in a matter of minutes, which otherwise today, all of you take probably days, if not weeks, to get things done. So please give it a shot, give us feedback. We're really looking forward to it. Okay, so far we've talked about observability for infrastructure and applications. Now I want to talk a little bit about observability for AI and agents themselves. So earlier in this session, we had talked about the rise of AI applications and agents creating these new needs for observability. We know monitoring, evaluating, securing these AI agents is super important to the success of your deployments and to drive your business outcomes. So Azure Monitor and the Microsoft Foundry teams, we have partnered together to help you achieve these goals. Observability in the Foundry control plane is 100% powered by Azure Monitor. This integration ensures that you have a unified view of observability, a consistent set of insights, and a seamless user experience. Azure Monitor will provide a full stack observability. It brings together agent telemetry, signals for infrastructure, applications, network, and even hardware on the OpenTelemetry standard, creating an end-to-end view that spans all the agents. Sorry, let me drink some water. So all evaluations, traces, and red teaming results from Foundry are published to Azure Monitor. This Ignite, we're announcing some few capabilities. There's a new agents details view, AI-powered tracing, and smart search. And so let's see these capabilities in action.
Here is an e-commerce app, Zava, with several agentic components. As a manager at Zava, I need to restock my inventory, and I have a multi-agent workflow to help me. You can see the 3 agents hand off to each other and make a recommendation for restocking. As a customer at Zava, I have an agent to assist me too. Here I ask it to tell me my last order. Over in AI Foundry, I see the customer assistant agent. The other restocking agents were created with Agent Framework. I have not registered them in Foundry, but the data is still flowing to Azure Monitor. Whether I use Foundry, Agent Framework, OpenAI, or even LangChain or Copilot Studio, I can see it all in Azure Monitor. For the agents registered in Foundry, I can easily hop over to Azure Monitor from the Monitor view. This lands me in a new Agents view, where I can see agent runs, errors, tool calls, issues, model issues, tokens, and evals. It's a central pane of glass for your agentic apps. I can filter on that restocking agent, drill in a tool call, and click on the most recent trace. Here you can see the new simple mode, optimized to see the flow of your multi-agent system. You can see all 3 of our agents with the brown meta tags, handing off to each other and getting rich attributes on each span, with prompts broken out in easy-to-read panes. Let's say you want to troubleshoot an error. I see the errors in my tool calls and scan my traces to find one with errors. I click on a trace with errors. Here, I can see tool call exceptions, including the call stack, which lets me know where to look further. If I suspect an issue with my pod, I can switch over to AKS Insights right here in context. When I search for the controller that my agent is running on, I see a couple instances of it in the last hour. Sure enough, I'm able to find that the container that's running my agent is in a worn state, and I'm able to view the logs and investigate further. I hope you'll find these new experiences useful, and there's more to come. Please feel free to share your feedback directly from within the product.
Awesome. So you just saw the capabilities in action for how you can now get an end-to-end view for agents in your environment. Now let's talk a little bit about another exciting announcement we have, which is OpenTelemetry standards and how we can simplify full-stack app monitoring. So Azure Monitor is announcing first-class support for OpenTelemetry standards across the entire stack, from ingestion to consumption. There are multiple ways for you to send your OTLP logs, metrics, and traces from OTel instrumented apps into Azure Monitor. We support the OTel collector to send directly to cloud ingestion endpoints. Or if you're already using the Azure Monitor agent for collecting signals for VMs, or if you're using the Azure Monitor add-in for AKS, you can continue to use those to also send your OTLP signals. And once you actually send the signals in, all of the Azure Monitor troubleshooting experiences will automatically light up, including the dashboards with Grafana. And now I will hand to Rahul to give you a troubleshooting demo with OTel.
Thanks again, Farzana. So let's look at an AKS cluster where I have already hosted some OpenTelemetry instrumented applications and see how the correlation and troubleshooting journey looks in action. So I'm on a AKS cluster, and I've navigated to the Azure Monitor tab, or Blade for AKS, which is basically a Prometheus-powered single pane of glass experience for your clusters, giving you full summary of whatever is going with your cluster, your resource health, all the warning events that are being generated, your node level, pod level summary, etc. Any warning events being generated, you can double click into, including some basic networking metrics and so on. Now, just like before, we saw those very useful top actions on the Azure Monitor experience. Same top actions as a pattern are now available on the AKS side as well. And here, interestingly, I'm seeing some crash loop back-off events and some killing events that are being fired. And again, just like before, I just need to click on the troubleshooting button, and it opens up the agent. Now, again, it takes a few minutes, so I've already run that. And in this case, I want to talk about how are the different places you are able to use our agents. So previously, we showed you an alert investigation experience. In this case, it just opens up in the Azure Copilot. And once you're investigating the issue from Copilot, the AKS troubleshooting agent, in this case, investigates what's going on with your kill errors. It tells me there are a couple of nodes being affected. There is a JVM pod. There is also a microservice A pod that's showing some of these issues. And it tells me some of the root causes. There are two options here. Either there is some memory leak happening on the application, or the configuration or limits on the cluster itself is not appropriate. Now, at this point, since it is an OpenTelemetry instrumented application, I can go look at my workload and see what's going on. So, I go to my workload. That's the microservice A that was highlighted. And I can see automatically the application metrics from App Insights come here within your container experience. So definitely some requests are failing because we were seeing kills. Some requests are getting slow responses as well. And most of them are actually 404s. So I can validate by going onto the operation, clicking onto it. It opens the application insights experience, where I can see a bunch of these errors happening. Most of them are 404. I can click on a sample and get to my tracing views to see more details. But the point I want to land here is, from the application experience, there is really nothing wrong with the application itself, and that's something I could validate from my AKS cluster itself. Now, let's go back to the cluster. The other option the agent gave me was there could be some configuration issues on my workload. So that's where I can use log analytics to go really deep into my data and write a simple KQL query to figure out what's going on. In this case, for the cluster, I'm already collecting audit logs from AKS. And on the audit logs, I'm just writing a simple query to look at what are the memory limits right now on the cluster, or on the node that I'm interested in, and who, if anyone, made changes in the past. So I can see right now this cluster is at, or this namespace is at 256 MI. And very recently, some cluster admin made the change from 512. That's now most probably causing those kill events. One thing I want to call out here, for those of you who use AKS and collect audit logs, these are highly verbose in nature. So we don't want you to spend a lot of money to collect these audit logs all the time. So that's where multi-tier logging within Azure Monitor really comes into play. You could define, based on your table, whether you need it with the full powered experience, like in the analytics tier, or a much, much cheaper basic tier, which is maybe 15-20% of the cost, but more than sufficient for the basic troubleshooting we are looking for here. Now, once we figured out there is the problem on the cluster, let me just close the experience and tell you how easy it was to get started with OpenTelemetry that Farzana was referring to. Now, directly from within AKS, I can go to my namespace, pick up the namespace of my choice. There is this application monitoring button right here on the namespace experience. I click on that. I can choose my application insights component. And I get these two options here. So auto configuration and auto instrumentation. So if your app is already instrumented with the OTel SDK, and you want to just auto configure and collect the signals in App Insights, you choose that option. Or if you want to use Azure Monitor OTel distros, we easily make it available to you to instrument your applications out of the box, right now available for a few languages. So whichever path you want to go to, just choose that, easy to get started. And just to show you that I'm not hand-waving, and that's really the case, I'm just going to take a few seconds and show you this community OpenTelemetry demo app that many of you might be familiar with. So in this case, it's like 10 languages running across multiple platforms. And all we did to kind of onboard this application was use OTLP collector, or in some cases, the AKS add-on, wherever it was running on AKS. And just that, all of our distributed tracing, application map, everything lights up, and you can go through your APM journey as is. So that's it for this demo. I'll hand it over to Farzana again.
So that was fantastic, right? How we've leveraged the open source standard community to really power a very comprehensive and a standards-based view. So let me recap what's new in Azure Monitor that we've announced at Ignite this week. We talked in depth about the observability agent for full stack troubleshooting, the ability to be able to observe agents and Gen AI, and then the OTel standard. Our demos also covered a bunch of things that you see on the screen right now: centralized observability recommendations, top actions in Azure Monitor experience, enhanced VM monitoring with OpenTelemetry, Azure Monitor dashboards with Grafana. Please check out the blog link that is over here. Give us feedback. All of these capabilities that we have announced this week at Ignite is really about modernizing your operations, making observability simpler, smarter, more actionable, and efficient for you. And with that, I will introduce Ritesh to come and talk about optimization.
Thank you, Farzana. Those were some pretty exciting demos and announcements. Hi, I'm Ritesh. I'm a product manager with Azure Optimization, and my goal is to help you get the most value out of your Azure deployments. I'm going to introduce the launch of some new AI capabilities that will help you optimize your cloud at scale. Let's start with the why. Why do we need AI in the world of optimization? I don't need to tell anyone over here, your cloud estates are probably becoming bigger. They're getting more diverse across regions, across business units, across different types of resources. And at the same time, the expectations from you to reduce your costs, to be more efficient, get more value from Azure are increasing. Traditionally, companies have relied on manual processes to identify, analyze, and action on optimization recommendations, which simply doesn't scale. Identifying savings is only part of the battle. We've heard from customers again and again, the bigger challenge is actually acting on them consistently, confidently, and at scale. This is why we built the Operations Center and the optimization agent within Azure Copilot to bring optimization into the operational workflow and enable AI-guided, human-in-the-loop decisions at scale. The opportunity is now to go from insights to action in seconds, not weeks. All right, let's walk through a typical optimization workflow. The things that you would do are check out where you are from a cost and carbon perspective. What's your month-to-date values, how you did last month, how you compare against this month and last month from a forecast perspective. You'll try to see how you're trending. Are things going up? Do you see any anomalous growth, etc.? Right now, you would do this by going to cost management, looking at these details one subscription at a time, maybe collating it on your side to get a better aggregate and find insights. And if you do identify that there is a need to optimize, which is mostly the case, you would then go to Azure Advisor, go through all the different recommendations, which can go into dozens or hundreds, create an action plan by going through each recommendation yourself and identifying the best path forward. All of this takes time. And this is why we built the Operations Center, which brings together the data that's spread across the different features and different subscriptions into a single unified view. To help you understand your current state from a cost and carbon perspective, help you sift through dozens of recommendations and identify the top actions that you can focus on, and then with the optimization agent, quickly pivot to taking action, all of which is aimed at reducing wastage in Azure usage, resulting in cost and carbon savings. Speaking of the optimization agent, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough in a few minutes, but in a nutshell, think of it as your FinOps buddy, something that will help you identify the top actions to take, explain why those actions make sense, and then finally help you execute those actions by providing ready-to-use scripts. The agent is there to make optimization transparent, trustworthy, and fast, three things that have historically hindered adoption at scale. Now, time for the demo. I do have a recorded demo, but I'm inspired by Rahul here to do a live demo. So a quick prayer to the demo gods, and here we go. All right. So Rahul did introduce the Operations Center earlier in his demo. We're going to focus on the optimization pillar. And so right here, you can see there are some top actions, which I'll get back to. But before I do that, you can see that I've selected 8 subscriptions. These are the 8 subscriptions that I'm responsible for. And so I'm going to start looking at my cost and carbon posture right now. For the current month, this is the trend. It looks like it's trending up. The forecast tells me that I'm going to go 9% over, which is quite a lot. And there'll be a lot of questions from management for me to answer about this. At the same time, I can see that my carbon emissions have gone down month over month. And so I think I'm fine there for right now. So I'm going to start drilling in to see what I can do to start controlling my increasing costs. The first thing I would typically do is to identify the top contributors to these costs. And right over here, you can see that I've got 3 subscriptions that are my top contributors, with Cloudflare Test contributing to roughly 60 to 70% of my costs. Even though the costs are going down, since it's such a big part of my costs, I am definitely going to pay attention to it. I also see my tray subscriptions are going up. And so again, a clear area of focus for me to pay attention to. Now that I've identified that I do need to optimize, I have my optimization recommendations right here. I have options across usage optimization, which is about making sure my workloads are running efficiently on the right hardware with the right configurations. And then I can purchase reservations and savings plans as well. Over here, you can see that I've got about 4 plus 8 plus 4, around 16 resources, recommendations that I'll need to rationalize against and create an action plan, which is not bad, but if you think about your typical cloud estate, the number of these recommendations can go into hundreds or more. And so to kind of help you with that, we've curated a list of top actions that you can act on. This is where the optimization agent comes in. It identifies the top actions based on ROI, usability, ease of action, etc. Now you can also enable your optimization agent from the Copilot. So let's hope this works, and it does. And so I've got agent mode enabled over here. I can simply ask it, show me my top cost saving opportunities for the sub that was the most, which is CloudFit Test. I have a very handy resource picker over here that I can use. Now I'm expecting a lot of content here, perfect. And so luckily I have backup. And so yes, that's how it goes in demos. So I had asked the same question, can you show me the top cost saving recommendations for CloudFit Test? It starts reasoning over what that means. So now CloudFit is more of an orchestrator. You don't have to necessarily identify and go to an optimization agent. You can ask Copilot any question you want. It's going to understand from context what you're after. And in this case, it's identified that you're looking for an optimization scenario. It then automatically redirects the request to the optimization agent, which then reasons over your subscription, over your recommendations to identify the top actions, the top cost-saving opportunities for the subscription. In this case, it's given me 5 options. The right-sizing a virtual machine from D96 to E16, which can save me $6,500 per month, which is a lot. And then the next option is reducing the instance count from 5 instances to 3 instances, which will again save me $5,000 per month. Just these 2 are enough to offset the 10% increase I'm forecasted to go over. So let me start thinking about the first one, right? So this is already curated. I'm going to start acting on the first recommendation to start with. And so the first thing I'll do is to check, does this recommendation make sense? Why should I move from, from D96 to E16? What does that even mean? So I'm going to ask Copilot quite simply, can you explain this recommendation to me? Copilot is going to, again, reason over it, find out more details, and give me all of that information right here. And so it'll show me the amount of savings that are possible, like before, how many cores that it can freeing up my quota. And over here, I can see that it's showing me the comparison between the current and the recommended SKU. So the current SKU is a D96. It's a 96 core machine. It's got 384 gigs of memory. The recommended SKU is E16, is just 4 cores, so that's quite a reduction, and has 128 gigs of memory. Now I understand what these SKUs are, but this seems pretty drastic. And so normally I would try to figure out more. I would look at the utilization. I would try to see if it makes sense if I move. And so Copilot does all of that for me right here. And so it shows me my current utilization. All of this white space on top is essentially wastage. I'm paying for cores, paying for memory that I'm not using. And so the recommendation is to go to that E16 for series SKU. And you can see if I move there, it's showing me a projected utilization. And even though the utilization is increasing, it's still giving me enough buffer and a lot of savings. So now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable about the recommendation, but the 96 to 4 cores is still a drastic change for me. I want to be a little bit more conservative. And so I'm going to ask Copilot if there are any alternate recommendations, any more conservative recommendations that I can act on. And so it gives me a list of these 5 recommendations that I can start considering. So the original one was around 6580. There is a new recommendation over here which moves from the 4-core to the 8-core E-series. It sticks to the AMD, which was the same as the recommended SKU. My current SKU is Intel. And again, the risk-averse part of me wants to reduce as many variables as possible. So I'm going to stick to an Intel SKU. So now this is a 4-core Intel. I still have my issue with moving from 96 to 4 cores. So I'm going to look at the next one. This is an 8-core Intel, which is better. And so, and from a savings perspective, it's pretty decent too. And so that's what I'm going to do. Now it's time to start actioning. And so I can ask Copilot right here to generate a CLI script for me, which is what it does immediately. It creates the script to log into the account, set the context, deallocate the current VM, resize it to the recommended, to my selected SKU, not the original recommendation, and then restart the VM. And just like that, I've saved $6,400 per month, which is roughly around $75K per annum. I've earned my salary. I deserve a bonus. All right, so which one was it?
Yeah, that's
okay. Great. So we're at a real inflection point right now. AI is shifting optimization from something that is reactive and manual to something that is proactive, guided, and continuous. With the Operations Center and the optimization agent, customers now get full end-to-end value from visibility to recommendations to explanations and finally to action, all in one place. That means faster execution because teams can move directly from insights to action, higher adoption because engineers get the context, the confidence, and they stay in control. It scales across subscriptions, business units, and workloads. And more importantly, it brings together different groups across FinOps, CloudOps, and sustainability teams together on shared insights and shared impact. This is how large cloud estates stay lean, sustainable, and efficient. The future of cloud optimization isn't dashboards. It's agent-assisted continuous action. I'm proud to say that all of these capabilities that I showed today are available in public preview. It is a gated preview, so check out the QR code for steps on how to sign up. I encourage you to do that today if possible. If you're interested in understanding your carbon emissions associated with your Azure workloads, we released Azure Carbon Optimization as generally available earlier this year. Simply go to the Azure portal, type in carbon in your search bar. You'll see the option. You'll be able to check out your emissions. Now, as we wrap up here are some quick takeaways. Troubleshooting is now faster with agentic AI, giving you smarter insights and quicker fixes. We've added full observability for GenAI apps and Foundry agents. And onboarding is simpler with OpenTelemetry. On the optimization side, Azure Copilot helps you prioritize your cost and carbon actions, guides you step by step, and delivers a unified experience for FinOps scalability. Check out the Learn More links on the screen to explore these innovations in detail. I hope you found this session informative. Farzana, Rahul, and I thank you for your time.